Hi and welcome to Northants Wargamers on the Road. My name's Barry and today we're showing one of the top 8 matches from the UK City Championships held at Fire and Dice in Middlesbrough. It's between King of Swiss Mike Kerslake on the left playing his Blue Eyes Dead Dragons Arkhan list and Dominic Elston on the right playing Mordant Burn. We've seen both these players in the past as the UK scene has started to gain a following of competitive players who are all travelling around hitting the main events across the country. Okay, so for Mike we have Lord Executioner, Arkhan Mortarch of Sacrament, Barrow's White King and a Lord Executioner. And for Dom we have Monstrous Haunter Courtier, Monstrous Haunter Courtier, Crypt Haunter Courtier and another Crypt Haunter Courtier. So Dom opens with a Frightful Strike, 3 damage to Mike. Mike will then have to discard a card because the champion that is played through costs more than the Barrow's White King. There we go. So Dom has to have that set up with these champions, due to all their abilities all triggering when below 5 health. So he's going to deal damage to his opponent first and then heal with the second 2 champions. So we've got a Fearsome Crypt Flare going in, so it's going to be make units dormant opposite next turn. It's Mike's go. So we've got Infected Terrorgeist going into play. Discards a Zombie Dragon. So that Infected Terrorgeist will be dormant next turn. Draws a card. Dom's go. 2 damage to Mike. Second quest done on that Monstrous Courtier. Draws 2 cards. So Arkhan would trigger now, because there's a unit in the discard pile. It's whether or not Mike decides to go for it. He'll get a Zombie Dragon out. No. So Curse Strike goes in. So 3 damage. He's going to rotate the Crypt Flare back 1. So does nothing. So another Zombie Dragon goes in. He's got no more cards to discard. So Crypt Flare for 2. That Infected Terrorgeist is dormant again. So Dom puts the Feasting Vargeist into play, heals for 1. So Arkhan, there we go. So Zombie Dragon goes into play, everything rotates. So 4 damage from the Zombie Dragons. Infected Terrorgeist does not rotate because it's dormant under that Fearsome Crypt Flare. Mike draws 2 cards, it's over to Dom. So 2 damage from the Flayers and 1 health back from the Feasting Vargeist. That quest is done on that first Crypt Haunter Courtier. So we've got a second Feasting Vargeist going into play. Dom heals another one. Mike's go. So we've got 8 damage from the Zombie Dragons. Infected Terrorgeist is still dormant. We've got a second Infected Terrorgeist going in. And Mike discards a Charging Black Knight. Draws a card over to Dom. So the Crypt Flayers are gone. He's going to draw 2 cards from that Feasting Vargeist. He's going to heal 1 from the second one, doing the second quest on that Crypt Haunter Courtier at the top. So Fearsome Crypt Flare coming out. Reveals a blessing. We get Expansive Girth. So Mike's champions are now dormant. So Arkhan's ability is turned off for the next 3 turns. So Dom's passed, drawn. So everything rotates. Nothing from the Infected Terrorgeist this turn. So next turn they'll start dealing damage. Mike decides to draw 2 cards. Dom's go. So 2 damage from the Tireless Crypt Flayers and 2 cards from the Feasting Vargheist. So Dom's got the advantage in cards. Mike's just trying to cycle dragons. 3 damage with Frightful Strike. Mike doesn't have to discard a card this time because Arkhan is more in points. So Scrabbling Horror going into play reveals Royal Hunt. So the Scrabbling Horror now deals 4 damage because the Royal Hunt is across from a champion that costs 7 or more. If Dom's got any more abilities in his hand, everything will now be going through that first Crypt Haunter Courtier. So 6 damage from the Infected Terrorgeist. So Mike's just remembering that they don't rotate due to the dormancy of Expansive Girth. Zombie Dragon going into play, so discards a card and then draws 1. So everything's going to rotate. So 3 damage from the Tireless Flayers, another 4 damage from those Scrabbling Horrors. Mike really has to get rid of that Scrabbling Horror because he's going to do 6 damage next turn. So Vigor Necris, got a unit going into play. He's going to discard a card. So discards a Tireless Crypt Flayer. What's he deciding to pull? So he's decided to put a Fearsome Crypt Flayer in. So 2 damage, and now that Zombie Dragon's dormant. Eight damage from the Infected Terrorgeist. So this Arkhan list can really deal out damage with the dragons. So Arkhan is dormant due to Expansive Girth. This is the last turn for that. So Fuel the Gravetide. So gets rid of the Scrabbling Horror. Mike's got to put 3 different units into his bin. So he saved himself taking 6 damage. But Dom's got a fistful of cards. So whether or not he's got abilities or a unit that's going to deal more damage. So Dom's on 10. Depends what Mike's got in his hand. He's more than likely going to draw. There we go. So Dom's go. Fearsome Crypt Flayer deals 2. Mike's down to 3. So Vigor Necris goes into play. Mike concedes. No matter what Dom would have pulled out, it would have killed him. So first game to Dom. On to the second. So Mike selected to go first. We've got Lord Executioner, Barrow's White King, and a Lord Executioner, and Dom has got his Monstrous Haunter Courtier, Crypt Haunter, and the second Crypt Haunter. So Mike has changed from an Arkhan build because of Dom's Royal Hunt, so he doesn't want to give Dom the extra damage. It just depends how well Mike's deck will now function when Arkhan is not there, because he likes to recycle his dragons, so we shall see. So Mike's passing for 2 cards. Over to Dom. Mike hasn't reset his health token yet. I don't think he really wants to start the game on 3 health. So Dom's passing as well. 2 cards. Over to Mike. They're passing again. So Mike's got a lot of discards in his hand, so I suppose that's why he's building up his deck, or building up his hand, sorry. Dom looks like he's got some good units in, but he's only drawing. So trying to keep the cards in hand equal until everyone starts throwing cards down. So Infected Terrorgeist goes into play. Mike's got to discard a card. And his second action is going to play Fuel the Gravetide. So he's going to dump cards. 3 different units into his discard pile. So he can't have 2 zombie dragons, so he's got to put one of those back. There we go. So infected Terrorgeist, zombie dragon, and a charging Black Knight. I don't know if he's got other ways to get units back out of the bin. That's whether or not he's got a Morghast in hand to help him. There we go. So Mike's put his health in now. Starts on 32. Dom's on 35. So Dom's passing again, building up his hand. Infected Terrorgeist spins, does nothing. So Grass from the Grave. So 3 damage from the infected Terrorgeist because it's going to spin it. And then draws a card. Dom's go. So is he going to get one of those fearsome crit flayers in to start stalling the infected Terrorgeist? He's got to fuel the Grave Tithe, Frightful Strike, Tireless Crit Flayer. So Feaster of Souls, he's going to gain 2 health. He's going to put that infected Terrorgeist back into his hand. First quest done on the monstrous courtier. And then puts a fearsome crit flayer into play. So by putting the infected Terrorgeist into Mike's hand, if he plays it, he's going to discard another card. So Dom's going to gain more card advantage. So a Morghast Harbinger goes into play. So he's going to take a card from his discard pile. So he could take a charging Black Knight maybe. No, infected Terrorgeist. So he's going to discard another card from his hand. Okay, so we've got Undying Splendor. So he's going to do 1 damage. So, Frightful Strike, 3 damage. Doesn't have to discard a card due to that Haunted Courtier being higher points costed than the Barrow's White King. 2 damage from the Fearsome Crit Flayers, and then lays a Freakish Crypt Horror into play, doing the first quest on the Crypt Haunted Courtier. Mike's got 3 cards. Tom's just checking. So, Frightful Strike, 3 more damage. And discard a card. There we go. So Mike's now down to 2 cards. So Undying Splendor is going to do 2 damage. The Morghast Harbinger is dormant because of the Fearsome Crit Flayer. So you might could have played that Harbinger on a different champion and brought out the charging Black Knight and got rid of that fearsome crit flayer. Curse Strike goes into play, dealing 3 damage. Second action, Infected Terrorgeist goes into play. Mike's got no cards in his hand. So 2 damage from the Fearsome Crypt Flayer, 1 damage from the Freakish Crypt Ghoul, and he gains 1 health back. Second quest done on that Crypt Haunted Courtier on lane 3. Tireless Crypt Flayer goes in. First quest done on lane 4 champion, the Crypt Haunted Courtier. So Dom's got a couple of champions that can auto-complete quests 1 and 2 for the Crypt Haunted Courtiers. We've seen them both, the Feasting Vargeist and the Freakish Crypt Ghoul. So Dom's passing. Mike's go. Undying Splendor does 3 damage. And the first of the infected Terrorgeist do 3 damage. Mike draws 2 cards. Dom's go. So nothing from the Freakish Ghoul and 2 damage from the Tireless Crypt Flayer. So it's quite even. Dom's got a lot of cards in his hand and Mike's only got 2 though. So Dom's going to take a lot of damage next turn. Whether or not he's going to remove something. So Freakish Crypt Horror, what have we got? We've got Orb of Immortality, so it's going to be harder for Mike to kill off Dom now. So Dom's got quite good health gain going on to try and withstand some of this damage that's coming his way. So Tireless Crypt Flayer's going in. Mike's go. So we've got 4 damage from Undying Splendor, 3 damage from the first infected Terrorgeist, 4 from the second, and 1 from the Morghast Harbinger. So Dom is down to 8. Thorns of the Briar Queen going in, 2 more damage. So he's down to 6. So none of Dom's abilities will kick off from his champions. So Dom's go. So here we go. So 2 damage from the Crypt Flayer, 1 damage from the Freakish Crypt Ghoul, and then gains a health back. So 2 damage from the second Crypt Ghoul, and then heals 2 more, and then 3 damage from that Crypt Flayer at the top. So a good amount of damage back in return, and some good health gain there. So we've got Fuel the Grave Tie is going to remove that Thorns of the Briar Queen. So Dom's going to take 3 different units from his deck and put them in a discard pile. So you can cycle those cards back using Vigor Necris though. We've seen him do that. So that Thorns of the Briar Queen is always a good target for that. Going to do 5 damage with that card if he ever brings that out. So then he's going to do Barrow's Will. So he's put 5 cards in the discard pile. So he's going to gain 5 health. Sorry, he's put 4 cards in the discard pile, but gains 5 health. So everything rotates. 4 damage from the infected Terrorgeist. 1 damage from the Harbinger. Then we've got Serving Death. So he's going to trigger both again. So another 5 damage. So, and a Morghast Harbinger to reveal the blessing. 2 more damage. So Dom is back to 2, but everything's activated now. So 2 damage back from the Monstrous Haunter Courtiers and 2 health back from the Crypt Haunter Courtiers. So 3 damage from those Crypt Flayers. Nothing from the Freakish Crypt Ghouls. Mike is on 9. So Fuel the Gravetide. So gets rid of that Harbinger. Got to put another 3 units into his discard. 3 different units. So looks like a Fearsome Crypt Flayer, Murderous Fargeist, and a Scrabbling Horror. So Mike's go. Reaper of Souls does 2 damage, puts Dom down to 1. Can't finish him off and draws 2 cards. So Dom's going to come back. Monstrous Haunter Courtier is going to do 2, and then he's going to heal 2 with Crypt Haunter Courtier. The Freakish Crypt Horror is going to deal 2, and then he's going to heal 2. So it's back up to 5. So Fearsome Crypt Flayer goes in. We get Royal Hunt. Does absolutely nothing now because Arkhan was taken out. So it depends what damage he can do. Vigor Necris going in. So Briar, Thorns of the Briar Queen going into play. It's going to rotate. 5 damage. There we go. Mike's been finished off. Dom makes it into the semi-final. Well done, Dom. We shall see him again in the next video. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.